It is Thursday night. You know what that means. The Comics Pals are live. We have Kale,
What's up, hot dogs?
Tyler,
Hi.
and I'm your host, Sean, to talk about five of
How
this
many?
week's five of this week's biggest books here on Pals Pulls. First up, we have Flash #1. That's the book on the marquee today. That's the big new #1. I'm so excited to show this cover off. I was geeking out when I saw it for this next book. This is Power Girl #1.
Oh, is that the
Oh, you
V
know what?
Ken Marion?
I don't even know, bro. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, for podcast only listeners, I highly encourage you to take a look at the YouTube to see this cover that I have here because it is absolutely phenomenal.
With your level of excitement, I thought it would be a lot sluttier.
No, I
No, that
genuinely
was.
just I think she looks
No, it's
like this is
good.
really
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
it's great.
I can tell you who the artist
Um,
is. It's John Boy Myers. I should have known that. John Boy Myers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. So there you go. So if you couldn't see what I showed, then look up the John Boy Myers variant for Power Girl, and it's really awesome. We've also got Ultimate Invasion #4, the $8.99 comic book that I'm not happy I bought. Avengers #5,
the eight
and
ninety nine comic book you're not happy you bought.
and the Immortal Thor #2, a $4.99 comic that I'm very happy I bought.
That's more like it. That's more like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kick things off with the Flash. Hello, by the way, to everybody that's watching live. Thank you for joining us. No matter when you're hearing this, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Leave us a like if you're watching us on YouTube. Whatever other platform you guys know how to support, we appreciate that. Let's talk about the Flash. Flash #1, written by none other than Cy Spurrier, with art by Mike Deodato Jr., one of my favorite comic book artists of all time. Trish Mulville on colors, and letters by the great Hassan Atsman El Hal. So quite a creative team. We all had reservations, and by we all, I mean the people on this panel, all had reservations about this specific creative team on The Flash. Could these individually great pieces, these individually great creators, come together to
And
do
Cy
something?
Spurrier.
Wow. To do something great with the Flash, everybody's favorite speedster. The answer from me is a resounding not quite, not yet.
Mm. The answer for me, it's not a full endorsement, but I had a good time.
The answer for me, if we're keeping that bit going, the answer for me is honk shoe me me me. I was dead asleep during this one. This one was the slowest Flash comic I've read in years, and I was not into it.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that. It's so it's it starts off with a sequence that immediately got on my nerves because those first few pages where we're watching Bart with this other guy,
Max
who I
Mercury, baby.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've ever seen this person.
You
Um
probably haven't.
uh it's got the trappings of the things that I don't love about Cy Spurrier's writing. Immediately, it's got the here are 7,000 nicknames for this character, just like he did it on Uncanny Spider-Man #1 a few weeks ago. Remember when they rattled
Oh
off all
yeah.
those? Yeah. It's got a weird look into maybe the future, maybe the sideways, which they try to call out here, which I'm sick to death of. I feel like every first issue of a comic starts with a peering into the future or something of that nature. So that was frustrating. And then it's like, then you look at this page, right? And it's a lot of words. It's
Yeah.
a lot. And that was the general theme throughout. And it's tough.
Yeah.
They're not bad words all the time.
Not all the time. But so the complaint here that I've seen mostly is that it feels slow. And for me, what's interesting about that is, believe it or not, that feels on purpose. I feel like Spurrier is really trying to let us live with Wally in that way of, in between the ticks of a second. And with all these words, boy, you're really living it. But I feel like with these time bubbles or whatever Gorilla Grodd's creating, I feel like that's going to come into play.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't necessarily. I did think it was slow, but I'm not sure that was the writing's issue. There is no kineticism with Deodato's art. I'm sorry, like everyone is frozen, and I think you're being generous by saying it's on purpose. I just think that's how Deodato's art is.
Well, I'm saying it by Spurrier's.
Sure,
I have complaints about the art.
Yeah. I think Deodato's art is. I don't want to say lifeless because I think those pages that you specifically pulled out, Kel, with Linda, were actually pretty good. But the actual action scenes, like all the gorilla people, they have like cybernetic masks on because Deodato can't draw gorillas. So it's the Flash just looks like he's stopping time, and I know maybe this sounds good, but it doesn't look good. It looks like he put stickers on a page, if that makes sense. Like they have a Flash sticker, he threw it on a background, because nothing is moving. With a Flash artist, I want something where I can see the speed and I can feel the speed, and this was just dead to me.
Did you guys have that Spider-Man the animated series? It's like it was a computer game that you could sort of create your own scene.
Was it like
That's
stickers?
sort of what Tyler's describing here.
I love that game.
I was thinking
great.
I was thinking like Cartoon Orbit, but I figured that'd be a really deep, weird reference that nobody would get. And proven. Okay.
You were right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what I think, Cy and Deodato are trying to get across with this issue. So we're following Wally, who, maybe you guys as more seasoned DC readers, and I say that as someone who's been reading DC for 15 years, but maybe you guys as more seasoned DC readers are more used to this than I am. But until they said this was Wally, I thought it was Barry, because I don't know. They seem to do similar stuff and have similar personalities. But that was what I was thinking. But it's Wally immediately dealing with Gorilla Grodd and these gorillas that have this crazy new technology that, all right, sure, Gorilla Grodd's a smart dude. He can have cool things, I guess. There's this other potential speedster that they seem to be dealing with, and the general theme of the issue seems to be that the speed force is off. Something is wrong.
It's a Tuesday for a speedster.
Right. And that looking forward or backward is not the answer to solving this problem. Meanwhile, his wife is dealing with having lost her access to the speed force and just having to be a mother at home while Wally and all the kids get to be, the fastest humans alive. I think all of that sounds fantastic, honestly.
Yeah.
The stuff with Linda, I thought that was all laid out nicely. I really like what Cy laid down with her. I thought that was cool. I like the idea that Wally doesn't quite see what's coming because he looks at life a certain way and he's not able to see all the angles. I think that's all great. For some reason, putting all of that together on the page, it didn't work as well. Everything I just said, I'm excited about, but when I read it, I didn't enjoy myself. And that's the problem that I had. And part of it is the art, but part of it is the overly wordiness. I feel like these points could have been made with less.
Yeah, there were a lot of, like, what I said earlier about Wally, us coming in with Wally to live in between the ticks of a second, right? Is like, that's cool. We get to listen to Wally's thought process. The problem with that, especially when there's already so much happening on the page,
Yeah,
is that not only are we seeing his thought process, which is already really scattered, Spurrier can't help himself. He adds even more little asides.
yeah.
And it's so infuriating, because that would make it bearable if it were just captions. Like,
And I do feel like every one of Spurrier's characters, I don't know, are they all lit fans? Like, all of them have to have the most flowery
Yeah.
internal monologue ever. Like, can we just, like, I feel like Wally of all people is not a guy like that.
do you remember, Tyler? I don't know if you were reading the Flash. Do you remember when he was a mechanic?
Is that during Mark Wade's run?
Dude literally just worked on cars, and then he was
Yeah.
the Flash.
It's back when it was
Like-
things were a little more simpler. Yeah. Yeah, but like that's what I mean. Like I don't think every character needs to be, Shakespearean in their internal dialogue. Like that's not how I think. Maybe that's how Marco thinks out of the four of us, possibly.
Well, he's a robot.
But that's 1 out of 4. Seisberger, it's 4 out of 4 in every one of his characters. And like it's written well. Like it there is craft there. But take I want to say take that shit to novels, buddy. But like it's in comic books that just feels like, all right, everyone feels the same.
Well, and I think part of craft is finding ways to tell stories how you tell them. But in this space in comics, when you're writing with characters that are not created by you, it's also integrating your style into this world that exists outside of what you do. And so I don't think every character should sound the same as all the characters that I read in every other Cy Spurrier book. And that's how I feel. Even if they're not saying the same words or saying them in the same ways, and everybody's so verbose, it's like, I do believe he's talented, but this doesn't feel like Flash to me. And the art, look, Tyler, you and I both, I don't know how we haven't done a Thunderbolts book club,
Yeah.
but you and I both, Mike Deodato killed it. But in that comic book, when I think about that book, I don't think about the action parts, not because they weren't good. I think about the drama, and the way that he was able to bring the drama to life was phenomenal. This doesn't feel Flash, doesn't feel like the place for this type of art. Not to me.
Deodato is one of those artists for me that I think it heavily depends on which book he's on. Because, like, I do think, like, this art is fine. Like, you put this on... what did he do recently with... it was at AWA, I think. It was...
Yeah.
That robot book.
Not All Robots?
Not All Robots,
with Mark Russell.
Worked great for that book. I mean, it helps that the guy is very photo referencey, so, like, he can draw robots really well. It's the same, issue with the guy who did Darth Vader.
Yeah.
LaRocca.
LaRocca, yeah. Where I think there are strengths that it works in. But like, if you had told me what's the character that Deodato is least suited for, I would have said the Flash. It's not what I expect for it. It maybe something's coming, but like I feel like the way he's using these panels to kind of be a little different. It's not different. The way the panels are broken up, it almost looks like he put the panel layout over his art as opposed to incorporating his art in the panels.
Yeah.
Almost like if you just put like this transparent layer over it and then put the word bubbles on it. He doesn't utilize
Which
it.
yeah, to a degree, I found that sort of interesting. When I first opened the book and was going through the Wally parts, I was like, okay, I'm kind of into this. But it sort of got on my nerves pretty quick. I did really like the weird pages, where
Yeah.
Wally first, gets his big warning or whatever with the purple ant aliens or whatever. I thought that was cool. That was a real cool showcase for Diodato, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but the pages I picked out for this, um, I just like, especially in the scene with Mr. Terrific. I don't know what's going on there, man. Terrific. Just he looks like
Whoa.
he is several different character models on any given panel.
Crazy bad.
The writing did terrific dirty too. Like whoever he was talking to, he was like, "Oh, you forgot to carry the decimal." There is no universe where Mr. Terrific's math is wrong. None.
Agreed. I also felt like that scene. I don't know. Maybe I'm being nitpicky. That
That was Terrific correcting the other guy. I just
Was
looked
it?
at it.
Okay, maybe I was
Yeah.
reading the bubbles wrong. But hey, murky art then.
easy to do. But that scene for me is where I felt like I came out of the book. Because I was like, dude, you're not gonna impress me by writing how much you know about math. I don't care. Like, why are we in this moment right now? These comic books are very expensive, and I don't care about your flex. It's not that interesting. Don't throw that stuff at me. Throw the character at me. You know what I'm saying? And I just felt like that's not what I was being served. If every time I read a Cy Spurrier book, it feels like I'm reading a guy who really wants me to know that he's really smart and he can write really well. And I already get that.
You getting Spurrier explained comics.
Yep.
Yo, yes. You hit the nail on the head.
And like Wally's a character that's so built on heart and family and just like happiness in a way. Like the sad parts that happen throughout happiness as well. But like the way this is written and the way that it's drawn is almost antithetical to the core of who Wally is, which I'm all for if you can tell me something interesting when doing that. But so far, this hasn't gotten me.
It's only the first issue.
So far, yeah, I'll still give this an issue too, even though I probably wouldn't pull it.
And you know what? I'm going to surprise everybody right now. I'm going to say pull, and here's why. As much as I said negative things, I also had some positive opinions. And honestly, from a story perspective only, like what the plot is and what has kind of been built up in this first issue, if this had a creative team that I liked more, I would be hooked. I'd be hooked. So I'm curious to see how they're going to follow this up, if the story is going to be worth following. So I will buy the next one, whether we review it or not. So that because of that, I'll say pull.
Pick of the week.
Stop that.
I enjoyed it. I really did. I found it to be the most interesting thing that we read.
I got questions later.
Oh, I might piss you off too, Sean. But yeah, no, pass for me.
I don't think so. If you didn't say that that's your pick of the week, oh well, you might say Avengers. And if you do, then yeah, you're right.
Yeah, his will be Avengers.
Yeah, then okay, then yeah, I will be pissed. Matt Murphy says, blink twice if DC has you at gunpoint. Hey, listen, DC has done right by me.
It's Cy Spurrier, that's the villain.
Yeah.
Sean, if you're at gunpoint, Sean, can you at least ask them to put us on the press list while you're at it?
Why would they do that for me, bro? I'm at gunpoint. They don't care about us.
I'm just saying, if you got someone's ear.
Well, hey, if you guys care about us, we appreciate that. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. If you want to show your support, the absolute best way to do that is to head on over to patreon.com/thecomicspals, where we are always giving you some bang for your buck. We appreciate everybody that supports us. We've got a lot of content over there. Our newsletter, which goes out one a week from each of us, or from one of us, rather. An exclusive show called Palling Around. The most recent one, we talked about our experience with Comicsgate. That was fun. Uh, and of course, you guys know we give you a nickname and a shout out on the show on the main show Saturdays, which is every single Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. You can listen to that live right on youtube.com/the Comics Pals, 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays for this very show, Pals Pools. The listener pick poll, the book we're about to talk about, Power Girl, is the winner of the listener pick poll. If you guys want to participate in that, you can go to our youtube.com/the Comics Pals page and vote in the poll, which goes up every Friday and closes every Wednesday. So you've got a grip of time to vote. We appreciate everybody that does. Now let's find out if the book that won the poll was worth it this week, because you guys did us dirty last week. You did us dirty.
Naughty, naughty listeners.
What was last week?
Wasn't that was that Uncanny Spider-Man?
Oh yeah,
No,
no, that was a good book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my god. All right, you did me dirty. You did me dirty.
I legitimately was like, what did they do bad? I liked oh, it was Spider-Man, okay. Yeah. Or Nightcrawler.
Oh my goodness. Hello everybody in the chat. Hello Kingdom of Nerds. Welcome you guys. Good to see you all. Let's talk Power Girl. We've got Power Girl #1 written by Leah Williams with pencils by Eduardo Pancia. Good to see him. It's been a while. Inks by Julio Ferreira. Oh, excuse me, Ferreira. I'm all over the map. Colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr. and letters by Becca Carey. So Leah Williams has been writing Power Girl for a little while now. There was the special issue that they had that I think we really liked, and then there was some amount of backups that she was in. She's been working with Power Girl for some time, and she's finally getting to do her own thing in a full-fledged series. As far as we know, it's not touted as a mini. That can always change. But this is her real at bat. And I think I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't love it the way that I loved the Power Girl special that we all raved about, because that felt like it was deeply analytical of Power Girl and of her story and of what's been going on with her. And that was my first window, not boob window, but window into this character. And I really enjoyed it. And I thought Leah Williams did a great job. What's up, Kale?
Was that the one with the red guy?
With the mask.
Yeah. The one where like it was
Okay. Marguerite Sauvage on art. Very, very good looking book. Yeah. And there was like the big special issue that was like that we enjoyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
This felt like more typical fare than that. And I think that's what I didn't love about it. Like, Leah Williams' writing is great. I love what she wants to do with Power Girl and stuff like that. I appreciate that Power Girl's presented as vulnerable but capable. I like that. But it just felt very sort of, pedestrian in a way.
I felt like it had to, because it's Power Girl #1, I think it had to reestablish all of that groundwork that, we got at the end of that special. Because of the new #1, you kind of have to state the mission statement again. So it felt like Leah was reiterating a lot of the stuff that she had previously laid down in this special, which I don't really think it's her issue, but more like it's an issue 1. Like, who knows if you read the Power Girl special that was 2 months prior to this?
Yeah.
So that's just the nature of an issue 1. So because of that, I think it was lacking a bit. And I felt like it kind of sped through all of that. Like, it feels like it's done now. So I feel like issue 2 can actually run with that a little bit. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty solid issue. I like her take on the character. I like that even in her secret alter ego, she still has a boob window.
Yeah.
Leia's pretty much making sure that stays. And I like Omen as a side character. Leia does really. I love the way Leia writes girlfriends.
Yeah.
Like exterminators, great. That's so. Especially if this supporting cast can grow a bit. I think this book has some real potential. Yeah.
I guess what I meant by my criticism and it can be addressed in future issues, is that it really felt like Leah Williams wanted us to understand who Power Girl is, and did such a wonderful job exploring that in the first issue, in that special. I wasn't so sure that this was doing that. This felt more like it was focused on, yeah, her insecurities about like Superman and stuff like that, but it felt like a dumbed down version of what we got already. And I want this to be willing to go deeper. I don't want it to be dumbed down. I don't want a basic superhero comic. I feel like Power Girl has probably had some of those already, and this is an opportunity to try something else. And that's what I would have appreciated, but I understand also what you're saying, even though that was my introduction to Power Girl. So I don't know.
It feels like the Spark Notes of it, of what we've read previously. You know what I mean? The Spark Notes in comic book form. Yeah.
Yeah. Top Lane says, is Superman the new dad of DC? Like, he did the same thing in Ice and Fire. Bro is becoming so annoying to see. They got to be careful with that. I agree.
Dude's a narc.
I think that those kinds of aspects in Superman's character are what lead people to call him boring. It's the Boy Scout thing. And you can only see that so many times. And he's got a son, an actual son, and then he's helping raise those two kids from War World or whatever. Like, he's kind of the dad of DC, and I don't know. There's like, I'm into him being a genuine actual father. I'm not into him being everybody's daddy figure. Like, he's
babysitter.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
Yeah, this definitely isn't the first time we've seen that, and and not even like this time period isn't even specifically unique. I feel like, when before, when people wanted something to be serious, they'd have Superman show up out of nowhere. So I don't know, but yeah, it feels, especially with the new Superman status quo, it feels annoying.
Yeah.
And it felt, it felt bad here, like especially bad. Like it felt naggy.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I have this problem with superhero comics where it's like superheroes have a job that's insane, right?
Yeah.
And every single one of them, including Superman, many times has made mistakes, done things that led to unnecessary casualties and things like that. So why is his approach to be a not angry, just disappointed dad when she doesn't handle something exactly correctly, when neither does freaking he? It's just so,
yeah.
I don't know. And I thought that there was more nuance to her feelings about Superman's feelings about her in the special. Whereas in this one, it just becomes, oh, he's her babysitter, he's her mentor who's disappointed because she's not perfect.
Well, and even in that special, I feel like Superman came off better because he was like, no, it's cool. This stuff happens. We're by you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kale, is this the first time her costume has included the Superman emblem?
I would think so.
I think so. Okay, yeah.
But because she's part of this team, she's it's a part of the jacket.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, though, I did love the art. I thought the art was great. It has like a, I always like want to say manga, but that doesn't feel right necessarily, but it has like a, I don't know. I love the posing of the characters. Like, here's a great example of what I'm talking about, like this punch from Supergirl. It just looks so cool, and it looks so dynamic, and I love the like, I don't know how to describe this here, but the
speed lines.
Yeah, thank you. The speed lines. I love this. I love the inclusion of the speed lines. It's small things that give panels life. When she punches through reality or whatever, that looked really awesome.
Can you show that, Sean? Because I forgot
Yeah.
to pull that page, but I did want to talk about that. Yeah, like just using the panels to do that, to show that.
Yeah.
Where her power to punch through time and space is now essentially a way of incorporating the negative space and panel work. I think that's a great idea. I think it kind of separates her from the other Superman adjacent characters as well.
I also thought that the you know the page also telling us, oh, we're in Metropolis on this side of the page, but then on the bottom half, we're in the Mariana Trench. It helped to sell. At first, I was like, okay, it looks like she's just getting in water. But when I looked at the page again, I was like, oh, she just like went through reality right there. Like that was pretty clever.
It's very Crisis and Infinite Crisis with Superboy Prime and stuff.
Yeah. Which is what the power is based on. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Panseca has been putting out some pretty quality stuff for a while now. And I do think there is a bit of anime manga influence in it as well, Sean. I agree.
What's interesting about that is I feel like it gets more standard American sort of. It almost looks
like
by the end it almost looks sort of forgive the reference point, but oh no, don't forgive the, I'm going to use a different one. It almost looks Phil Jimenez-y toward the end.
All right.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think Panseca.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think the same guy worked on some of the Tom Taylor Suicide Squad, if I remember correctly.
Sounds right.
Yeah, or the one preceding. I'm looking it up right now. Actually, it's the one preceding it with Peacemaker. It was the Dennis Hopeless Suicide Squad. Yeah.
Well, in any event, I thought the art was a standout, and again, I think Leah Williams does a solid job. This is a comic book that I think is going to have to do some work to justify itself, but I think the creative team is good enough that I believe that will come. So I'm gonna say pull for those reasons. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I had fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a pull.
It's a pull for me too. Yeah. Good listener pick.
Yes. Good job, listeners. You redeemed yourselves in my eyes, at least. And like I said, if you want to vote, you can do that every single Friday to Wednesday on youtube.com/thecomicspals under the community tab. Remember, you have to hit the community tab to be able to see the vote, unless it just comes up on your feed. Anyway, let's get into the Marvel sandbox. The $8.99 juggernaut, known as Ultimate Invasion number 4.
Ultimate inflation, am I right?
How did it take 4 reviews to get that out of you?
Great question. Actually,
I got no response to that. No.
All right. Well, Jonathan Hickman, with art by Brian Hitch, pencils by Brian Hitch, inks by Andrew Curry, colors by Alex Sinclair, letters by Joe Caramagna. So this is the end. This is the establishing shot of the Ultimate Universe. This is what is establishing what that's going to be, what we can expect, who the players are. Maybe. Could be.
Yeah. Maybe.
Your tone on that was honestly perfect, Sean, because
Thank you.
It was a confusing tone for a confusing book.
Yeah. Yeah. I had questions. I didn't get answers.
Yep.
Here's the thing. I had questions. I didn't get answers. And I'm not sure I care to even get the answers.
This did nothing for me.
I genuinely feel like you could eliminate all of this, right? And just start with ultimate number 1, whatever, and then that's it. This was, so let's see, the first issue was $10, $9.99, and then I believe each subsequent issue was $8.99 or something in that realm. So over $30 spent on this, right? And after 4 issues, some hundred, some odd pages. I am not actually clear at this moment what the Ultimate Universe is, whether or not we should be thinking about seeing the Ultimate Universe from before. I don't know who Spider-Man is. Don't know where Miles Morales is. Not sure what happened to the Illuminati from issue 1. Don't know why they stopped chasing the Maker. I don't know anything. And they found Captain America in ice when every single issue of this comic book has had Captain America in it. So I don't know what the fuck is going on.
It's funny. Dan in the comments says, please tell me there isn't a last caption that says the beginning. No, there's not a last caption that says it, but the last word is the beginning. Which, if you can call that, that's bad.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the need to explain this.
Explain what? Like,
well, specifically the launch of whatever the Ultimate line is going to be. You know, like if you're just starting a line, start it. Like why do you need to explain it? Especially right now. And with this. Like
ultimate confusion is how I feel about this.
Dude, who is feeding you these lines?
I got a guy in Brevoort in my ear right now. Yeah, I don't know what the point of it was. Like, it doesn't even feel like it neatly set up the universe to be an accessible one. Like if we just got to,
yep.
Like, it's, and also like, I like Hitch sometimes, but none of it felt like, if I'm talking about Diodato being, stiff, this is extra stiff. The best compliment I can give this book is that whatever that Ultimate Doctor Doom was, that dude was cool looking. That's about it.
Dude, I see. Okay, that's the other side of the review that I want to do, because there were things in this book that I really liked. I actually I'm enjoying the relationship between Howard, Reed, and the Maker. And the way that Kang, the idea of Kang, fits into all of that. And it seems like Hickman is turning Kang, he's turning the Stark family into like the legacy of Kang, if you will. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
And the Maker made Reed Doom because he sees himself as the enemy. He is the ultimate enemy of himself. And he hates that this Reed gets to be Reed while he's got to be Reed with half a head. It almost casts him even the Maker in a Doom-like role, because the reason Dr. Doom wears the mask is because he is disfigured. So there's like all these layers of innuendo and things like that I really liked. Where the book would lose me is when I saw 10,000 of the same character on the page.
You don't like a lot of wasps?
No. I don't know what that's about. Still to this day, I'm not sure why that was happening so often. I don't care, actually. And from a visual standpoint, when I see shit like this Captain America, who looks like he's got like Plastic Man's, like, look at his stomach. It's like warping.
That doesn't
look normal. That's crazy. It looks like he's sucking his gut in, and he has no guts.
Hitch gives everyone like Taylor Swift long back syndrome.
Okay,
like everyone's like torso is just a little bit too long.
Everyone looks like they could be an antelope.
Yeah, everyone kind of looks like Stretch Armstrong in a way.
Yeah, like what the hell? What like? Why would you get Hitch for this? I still think Hitch has a lot left in the tank. I think Hitch is talented. I don't stand for Hitch disrespect. But this is not the book that he should be drawing. It's just not. I'm sorry. It doesn't look right.
Hitch is there because of his history with the Ultimates. Like that's the
Right.
only reason he's there. I don't think he should be for like imagine how Assad Riddick drew this. You know, like
God,
I know Kale's not a fan, but like
it'd
I
be
feel like
about as
that.
good.
I feel like that would it pairs with Hickman a little better. I don't think Hitch works with Hickman.
Well, I think the problem is Hitch is wasted here because of the reference, because of the history.
Sure,
Right.
yeah.
But who
You know?
cares?
It feels like a
Yeah.
tribute album, if anything.
But with no one who was in the band. All the characters weren't in the
Or-
band.
Or the band gets played over itself over and over and over again.
But-
so it's just noise.
Help me out. Someone, whether it's Kale or Tyler or someone who's listening to this at some point, can someone explain to me what this book had to do with the Ultimates, other than the Ultimate Universe, other than the fact that the Maker was here? Because it's not the Ultimate Universe. It doesn't have Miles in it. As far as I'm aware, none of these characters are the versions from that world. This is a new world. So what does this have to do with the Ultimates? If it's paying tribute and it's setting up a new Ultimates, where's the connective tissue?
It's literally just the Maker.
It's the Maker, and somehow Iron Man's suit winds up looking the same. That's about it, because it's not even the same Iron Man.
Right. This is clunky, and it's Captain America has the same suit, and there's all that, but like, why? Is it because that's how the Maker remembers them? That's the way he knows those people? I don't get it.
Did he create this universe, or was it when he found that was close? Do you remember?
At this point, man, brother, I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought he created it. I thought that's what happened in the first one, but maybe not. I really don't know. And I'm not even saying that I don't know because it was not in the book. I'm saying I don't know because I don't fucking know. Like, I just don't feel like I got what I was supposed to get out of this. And I do think it's clunky.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I'm afraid. Okay, well, I think we're going to talk about some more Ultimate stuff later, so I don't want to go too far ahead.
I wanted to like this so very badly. I think that when it comes to world building and things like that, Hickman is the best in the business. And I thought we were gonna get like a new Avengers or a Secret Warriors, like real deep build mode of something epic that would then be expanded upon into the crowning of the Ultimates universe. But I don't even understand what is the foundation here. I genuinely don't even understand what the foundation is that we're coming into.
It made me feel dumb, you know, like I'm like, I know I read this book, I read it, and it feels like I didn't.
Yeah, like I feel like if this is the world we have to work with, I'm struggling with what the conflict is going forward. Is Ultimate Spider-Man gonna fight the Maker? You know, is the city? That's what that thing is called, right? The Maker's place. The city is the city just in the middle of this Maker Kingdom, and that's what we have to deal with in this new Ultimate Universe. I don't like if that's what we're dealing with. I guess that could be interesting, but does that mean that the whole Ultimate situation is just to fight the Maker?
And also, it seeded our 616 read having or our Illuminati. Like, it starts off with that. Remember the first issue? It never pays any of that off.
I have to think that's just to get the Maker out of 616.
Sure.
They might come for him later, but for the purposes of this, I have to imagine that's just place setting for the Maker.
But didn't the Maker go to Miles's house?
Yeah.
And wake him up from sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
To say, hey, yeah, right? Like dirtbag.
Yeah,
To
seriously.
say, hey man, do you want to, like, I'm remaking the universe. You want to go hang out over there? Like,
Yeah.
didn't he say that? This is
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
what is this?
That's when Miles said, "Nah, I'm gonna do it my own way." But
Man,
yeah,
you were on fire.
like seed that stuff, and then like not even a hint of it later. You know what I mean? Like it just feels. This doesn't even feel like an end. First of all, in issue 4, like it's
thing. Yeah.
and I guess it's not. It's the beginning. So job
What-
well done.
What was ultimate about this? What was invaded about this? Like,
The price and my wallet.
Yeah, I definitely feel like my wallet was invaded. And then we're left with this like faux Illuminati of, you know, people who are going to run the world behind the scenes. Like,
yeah, no, all that I didn't understand.
You weren't a fan of Marvel's Lazarus?
no, bro. Like, maybe it can work, but these characters are oddly chosen, and none of Hickman's, like, in my opinion, none of Hickman's like great character work was present with any of those people. And the only thing that's interesting about a cabal like that is the interrelationships and their personalities. I don't care about seeing rich, elite characters. Wow. They're not compelling. They were not presented in a compelling fashion. So why is that interesting to me going forward? Anyway. This is not worth buying. I'm
Agreed.
sorry.
Oh, not at all.
I'm sorry. I would not feel comfortable getting on this podcast. All credit to everybody involved in working on this book. I do not see why anyone needs to read this thing, this mini. I don't see why. It's over $30 to purchase it in full, I believe. And there's nothing here that's so necessary to know that you cannot read Ultimates #1 or Ultimate Spider-Man #1 whenever that comes out. I just don't buy it.
Yeah.
Maybe check it out on your Marvel Unlimited subscription in 6 months, but like that's as much as I can give it.
Yeah.
But like for what? Like, you know, like
At most.
if you're listening to this, we are here to tell you nothing came out of this.
Yeah, like if you're a completionist, whether it be a Hickman completionist or a Hitch completionist or whatever, like if that's how you roll, cool. I would never have skipped this. I'm not that type of reader. But if budget is on your mind or you just don't necessarily care all that much anyway, this is the thing you can skip, in my mind. Get Ultimates #1. I'm sure it'll be great. This is skippable.
And probably down the line, all of this will make sense. But yeah, I mean, it's what I say about first issues. Like, if you're not gonna get me, you can't have me.
Right.
Like,
and all this will probably be re-explained anyway. All the most relevant bits will be re-brought up somehow.
in a credits page, previously on.
And could that not have been done? Could we not have seen the Maker quickly interact with Miles, the Maker escape 616, and then show there was a great war. The Maker warred with Kang, and Howard Stark was there, and Reed Richards was there, and they made this bomb, and now there's this huge fucking dome on Earth, and now here we are, and we found Captain America. Could that not have been a 5-page exposition dump?
That would have pissed me off in a different way, but yeah.
What hurts more, when your wallet is messed with, or you get a quick exposition dump that's like, okay, maybe this was a little clunky. This shit took my whole summer up. And
you haven't left the house.
Yeah, man. Pass.
Sorry, Jonathan. It's a pass.
Yeah, it's a pass for me too. Hard pass.
Let's talk about Tyler's pick of the week.
It is cover of the week
I know.
too. That's a great cover.
Wait, which cover you?
Come
Which
on.
cover?
I got the
cover A.
Yeah, that one.
This?
Yeah, it's a good cover.
You think, man? Okay, Tyler. Well, so let me get through the creative team first, and then I'm going to. I
Then we
want.
can argue about the covers.
I don't even want to argue. I want you to tell us, the viewing audience,
Sure.
why this was your pick of the week. So
Got
Jed
it.
McKay.
Yep.
Art by Ivan Fiorelli. Colors by Federico Blee. Letters by Corey Pettit. And now the floor is yours, my friend.
I think where I read this in my list of books highly affects my feelings on it. I read this after Flash. I read this after Ultimate Invasion, and I read this after Immortal Thor. My brain hurt. I was reading too many words. This was just simple fun. This is Avengers fighting some new cool looking bad guys. This is you playing with your toys in your backyard. There's no real, there's not even like really stakes involved. There's nothing really there, but I just thought it was kind of neat. What's that, Kale? Did you watch Simpsons when Marge is holding the potato?
It's just neat.
Yeah, I think it's kind of neat. That's how I feel about this book.
I have a one-word rebuttal. Still.
I also have a one-word rebuttal. No. For those of you who don't know, that is a reference to the issue itself, because all the Avengers say no.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah. So quick recap, or not recap, but summary of what's going on here. The Avengers are still fighting some guys. They've been fighting these same guys.
That's the book.
For 5 issues or 4 issues, whatever it's been. Fighting some guys. I feel like the guys are still sort of introducing themselves.
Yep.
They're on dates.
Yep.
And the dates are getting hot and heated. Hot and heavy. There was some cool stuff. I like the Vision fight with I don't recall her name.
She had like a weird mechanical name or something.
Yeah. The robot one of the Ashen Combine.
Meridian Diadem.
There you go.
I have her up on the screen for reasons.
I thought that part was kind of cool, but Kale, where are you at with this book?
I thought the concept of the city was cool. And, how he was explaining that at one point he was a hero and, these guys have made him bad, so he's gonna kill himself.
Mm-hmm.
But that means he has to take out the Earth. That's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that's cool enough. Frankly, that would be more interesting an arc than what's happening here. The Avengers have to fight a planet-wide city. That's cool. Why are we dicking around with this guy who literally on the page just says he's bored?
He was speaking for me.
Listen, and me.
You guys are all Lord Ennui.
Go ahead.
It's boring. Why are we still here?
Like, there has to come a time where you advance the story forward, right? And that hasn't happened, I feel. Like, I guess the idea is that, okay, now they might have a way to fight back because the city, can be leveraged or whatever, maybe not, but the Avengers are still just fighting. They're rallying. We don't even see them all in this issue. I'm really genuinely surprised. Like, I'm shocked that this is what is happening. I can't believe it.
You don't like that we don't see Scarlet Witch in the issue where she's on the cover?
You know what? Yeah, I don't like that at all. Not one bit. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that Captain Marvel is stuck fighting this dude whose power is entropy, and all she can do is, he's mocking her for trying to save every person. What the hell else am I supposed to do? I can't do anything else. And then he's like, oh, you're the most interesting creature I've come across in a long time. Now, why is that? What has happened? Because she's trying to save everybody? What does everybody else do? Just let everybody die?
And villains always say this shit.
Yeah.
She hasn't done anything.
And it looks like he's got like World of Warcraft gear on. I kind of dig
Yeah,
that.
he really does. That was cool.
It's the jailer.
I don't know. I'm clearly missing out because it's Tyler's pick of the week every week on the Discord server, which you guys should join if you're not there. I get when this book comes up, someone always says, "Oh, this is the book I disagree with Sean on. This is the book that I don't understand why he thinks that." Like, look, I don't get on here and say this stuff just to say it. I really don't see what's in this book. I'm shocked that this is the quality Avengers book we are getting right now. No character work.
Like,
This is what we're doing? Go ahead, Gil.
like, why is this? Why is your Tyler? And no offense, you don't have to respond to this. Your big selling point to this is you just mashing your action figures together. It's been 5 issues of mashing your action figures together. There's no plot here. There's nothing. What's happening?
Cool things? Like, I don't know. The fact
What?
that there's
though?
a
Like what?
there's a hot robot woman who has a tesseract in her chest and her boobs open up and armies come out of it. Like, that's neat.
Agreed.
Yeah, Sean can't argue that one.
But I feel like I gave that credit because that was cool. And like Kale said, the city idea is cool. There are cool ideas in the mix, but it doesn't translate to, in my opinion, to a story. Like, I cannot afford to buy action figures because I'm buying these comics and nothing's happening in these comics. I could have more fun if I had a companion for my beast, okay? But I don't because I buy these instead, but nothing happens here.
Man, the
Beast
only
just
action
has
figure
to fight.
Yeah. The only action figure you have is a genocidal maniac.
Yeah, he's great.
I'm sorry.
And you know what? I think that the art is a disservice is being done to the art as well. Because I do think the art's pretty cool. I like it a lot. The coloring is interesting. I'm not criticizing it. Vision looks, and this is probably a design choice, but Vision looks like 90s Vision to me more so.
Yeah, classic Vision. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of color on Sam Wilson and Captain Marvel. I like the coloring. It's very bright. It's got a fun look to it. I like the art a lot, but I don't understand what Jed MacKay is doing. And the last thing I'm going to say about this comic book this week is that the way this all started was they're trying to figure out the missing moment. Anybody thinking about that? That's not even in the picture right now. We're 5 issues deep. How long is this run going to be?
It's missing in my brain, too.
Yeah, the missing moment is whatever moment you're talking about.
Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah. Pass, dog.
Pull.
Pick of the week, right?
Yeah. Say it, coward.
It's my Avengers number 5 is my pick of the week.
C.W. Gordon says, hope to God this is filler until Zdarsky's Avengers actually does something. I hate to break it to you, bro, but that's not what that is. Because this run promised something that it hasn't even sniffed yet, which is the Avengers going through the trials. This is the first trial of who knows how many.
And you guys are struggling through this trial.
Yeah. Yeah, this is rough to me.
Hoping to not be struggling for much longer.
Well, strap in.
Man, Scarlet Witch got those gloves on too on the cover, Sean. Am I selling you a bit?
No?
No, okay, all right. Attempt me.
Just go to Midtown and look at the cover. Like,
That's true. Yeah. Window shopping instead.
Doesn't help. Aaron Ruiz in the chat says, does Cy Spurrier have a book next week? Can we make it a triple?
Can we make it a triple? I think it's been a triple. Am I wrong?
Well, last
Yeah.
week we had Uncanny. Yeah, because the week before that we had Immortal X-Men.
What the hell?
I'm
Was
pretty
he on
sure.
Immortal X-Men?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh no,
No,
I'm
that's
crazy. I'm
Kieran
crazy.
Gillen.
That's Kieran Gillen. I confuse them all the time.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know.
Confusing, just the British people.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's dropping something next week.
Yo,
But
next
if he
week is nuts.
I'm sad about it.
Dude, next week is Gods, Transformers, and Birds of Prey. Sheesh. Oh,
Exciting. Wow.
We'll probably have to be live on Wednesday next week. Sorry, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
now.
we'll
Okay.
talk about that.
Yeah, sorry, I just thought about that.
Let's talk about the Immortal Thor. This is written by Al Ewing, who we love so much. With art by Martin Coccolo and Matthew Wilson on the I don't have where are the credits in this comic book? Oh, there we go. On colors. Joe Sabino on the letters. This was my pick of the week.
Yeah, good.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think that every single criticism I feel like that I levied against the books that we reviewed this week that I didn't like, Immortal Thor does everything right. Yes, it's the same fight from the first issue, but it ends in the second issue. And there's character work woven in to the conflict so that the conflict reflects Thor's inner turmoil. And it promises a much bigger problem because this is a villain who is a level up from Thor. And it forces Thor to make decisions that could hurt Thor in the future. Not showing me a future, it's taking action that could impact the future.
Wait. Let me get this straight. You telling me that Al Ewing wrote a good comic book?
I'm telling you that Jed McKay wrote a bad one.
Okay.
Because all the things that I feel like were wrong about that issue are right about this one. And I'm sorry, I hate to compare. I know this is not about comparison, but I need to underscore how good this is and why I think that there are lessons to be learned.
Mm-hmm.
This was phenomenal. I can't even get over how this villain looks. He's so freaking cool looking. This like Utgard Thor.
Bro, he's giving me like a Final Fantasy boss vibes to it.
Yes.
Yeah. And like the way he swung the wheel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead, Kale.
There's very little I love more than a small guy taking on a really, really big guy.
Yeah.
So David and Goliath in you.
Yeah.
And Thor has to figure out a way to defeat the Utgard Thor because everything is on the line. Like the stakes are extremely clear. Like this dude is not playing games. And he figures out a way to beat him. And he uses, I guess, the Thor Force, what most people associate with the Odin Force. Sorry, Kel, what's that?
No, he specifically used the Odin Force over the Thor Force.
Okay, he uses the Odin Force.
Yeah.
But that is going to put him to sleep, basically.
Yep.
He got the itis now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, obviously, Thor sleeping is not a good thing for Midgard or Asgard or any other guard.
Look at that sleepy baby.
I didn't even realize how sleepy he looked there.
That was so funny, man. That was so funny.
Oh, Loki, it's just you. I gotta go to bed, man.
Got a bad case of the EPCPs.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single thing to dislike about this book, man. I just feel like, I'm getting the same vibe that Al Ewing has a story to tell with this that's going to revolutionize Thor and actually advance Thor, a character who I feel has not been advanced in quite some time. I'm ready to see that.
Same way he did the Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think almost even more exciting is that I'm also excited for what he's doing with Loki.
Yeah.
Because Loki has kind of been like within the past since like Marvel Now, it's been like, all right, Gillen and McKelvey's Young Avengers is great. How do we keep that ball rolling? Oh wait, we got to consolidate that with the MCU that everyone loves, Hiddleston. How do we keep that rolling?
Yep.
There seems to be some evolution of Loki in this as well that I enjoy.
Yeah, it feels like Al Ewing is taking a big swing with all this stuff. And, I'm glad that Loki's a part of it. I think that setting up that Loki has a greater plan, but that plan requires them to be a villain in Thor's life or a foe for Thor at this moment in time. I thought that was also a really smart play. And again, it's setting up something from the future, not with a flashback, not with a flash forward, not a flash sideways for you Lost fans, not even a panel indicating the future. Characters saying, hey, I'm going to do this. This is going to impact what comes next. That's story. That's storytelling. I love this. I love it.
One thing I love, thought balloons, thought bubbles.
Mm.
Can't believe those are back in a book in 2023.
You mean they're
Used
not
well.
replaced by narration boxes like everyone else does?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like Thor is a character that a wordy introspection makes sense.
It reminds me of the Simonson stuff.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is classic great Thor.
Yeah. The art is also fantastic. It does a great job. It reminds me of, and I'm forgetting the artist, unfortunately, at this moment, but it reminds me of Jason Aaron's store. There was a beat of it where I feel like the art kind of looks similar to this. Tyler, can you help me out?
Daughterman? Are you thinking of Russell Dauterman?
Yeah. I think it was the Dauterman art. It looks, it has echoes of Dauterman in it, but it's its own thing. And when we see the Utgard characters, they look incredible. They look otherworldly. They don't look like the typical sort of villain you would see from a Marvel comic. They look different and off, and I like that. I think that's awesome. And he brings the scope and scale of them to life really well. So Cocolo's doing tremendous work. And I think the coloring is great too. Matthew Wilson, everybody involved. This is great comics. I cannot wait to be talking about this, 48 issues from now, getting to the big 5-0 and reflecting on how good this was. Pick of the week.
It was close to being my
book
pick of the
ruled.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, Matt Wilson colored Jason Aaron's store with Dauterman, so that's probably where some of the consistencies lie. Yeah, I just looked it up because I was pretty sure about that.
That makes. Hale, hold on a second. So you liked Flash more than this?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I felt like, and this week, I do think you're right that Immortal Thor is the better book, the better constructed book. But I think Spurrier is also trying something with the Flash. And I think I might be a little bit more interested in that this week.
It does feel a bit like Immortal Flash.
Yeah.
Where like there is a big swing being made. I just think this one Thor hits, and I felt that the Flash kind of whiffed for me. But yeah.
Well, and I think that I think Spurrier is going to get in his own way, which we talked about. But and the immediate Deodato stuff doesn't do itself any favors, except when it does. But I think the Flash could use a status quo change. And I think that's more appealing.
Okay.
Fair
enough. We have a super chat from one Marco Cunalata.
Better not be from our account.
It better not be
It's from
our
his
account.
own. Yeah, it's from his own.
And he says, scrolling through the chat, y'all are sleeping / wrong about Cy Spurrier's Flash. Let's go, Kale.
Marco, get back to work.
Only look, you super chatted, so I thank you for contributing to your own business.
That
But-
money laundering?
Yes, actually,
We should probably look into that.
We should ask
Yeah.
our money guy. Wait.
Oh, it's our money guy doing it. But we'll accept all your opinions and we will debate them thoroughly on the next review of The Flash. But hey, Kale picked it as his book of the week, so there's something there
This week.
Well, we reviewed Ultimate Invasion. We reviewed every single issue of this run. And we thought now would be an appropriate time to talk about sort of what we want and what we project to come next. Obviously, we know that at New York Comic Con, we're going to get some more information. I expect to learn more about what the lay of the land will be as far as the other titles, but the ones we know for sure are the Ultimates, whatever they're calling it, Ultimate Comics, Ultimates, whatever the first issue of that is going to be.
Yeah.
Ultimates. And then we're getting Ultimate Spider-Man, both written by Jonathan Hickman. And then I think Caselli is joining Hickman on art for...
It's Hickman and
Ultimates?
Caselli on Ultimate Universe. That's what it's called.
Ultimate Universe. Okay. And then, of course, we know Ultimate Spider-Man. We've got Hickman, and then he's being joined by
Chichetto.
Marco
There you
Cicchetto.
go.
Yep.
Yeah. So those are the things that we know. Everything else is supposition, essentially based on what we know from Ultimate Invasion, which is not a lot. What other creative teams or creators do you think are in play for this world? Like, who do you expect to see?
I mean, you asked me 6 months ago. I would have said Donny Cates, but I don't think that's happening.
I don't know.
I really don't know.
I'm not super into the. I'm not on the hype train unless something else has happened recently. But I feel like surely we're gonna see some Donny Cates. Maybe he's not gonna be piloting the ship like, we've sort of speculated he was gonna. But I feel like surely he's gonna have a bigger presence or a presence at least.
I mean, it is nice that it's keeping in play with the original Ultimates line by probably so far not having any women on the creative team. So maybe you can get an actual female writer on a book. Who knows? Creative teams is a question mark for me because Hickman's even doing Ultimate Spider-Man and he's doing Ultimate Universe, which are wildly different. What I assume tone would be. Honestly, I think this would have been a chance to be like, hey, Bendis has come back on Spider-Man, because he's not really doing much right now.
That's not what I would want.
It's not what I would want. I agree. I wouldn't want it, but I think there was an opportunity they could have taken.
Well, and this sort of takes me to a thing I sort of wanted to bring up about the Ultimate line. Not to pivot too hard from Sean's question, but I think the Ultimate line was at its best when it innovated. So Miles, or even just the idea of bringing Spider-Man's origin into, the modern era, 2000s New York, and eventually Miles, and even at the time, the Ultimates,
And even like Reed, there was an evolution of Reed as a character too. It kind of became the Maker and all that. Yeah, I agree. I think the big question mark for me isn't creative teams as much as characters.
Yeah,
and
especially coming out of Invasion, what is this world gonna look like?
It feels like Lazarus.
Well, before we get too far off characters, I did want to talk about that. Or creative teams rather. I think a good consolation prize for Donny Cates would be to give him the Ultimates title, whenever that comes around. Assuming there will be some form of Avengers and they will be called the Ultimates, he would be the guy that I would think they would let do that.
Makes sense.
Of course, he's the guy I think should be next at bat to run the ship for the Avengers proper, but he seems to want to do Ultimates work. He was slated to do Ultimates work before, everything happened to him. So I think that would be the consolation prize for him. And then as far as women, at least in my mind, when you look at the landscape of Marvel, the women writers that they had who were on the rise seem to have jumped ship to DC.
It's really just Teeny, yeah.
They lost Leah Williams. Teeny Howard went over, and she's working on Catwoman now. So I don't even know if they who do they have? They lost a lot, I feel.
Yeah, not to lump them in the gendered boat, but who am I thinking of?
Vita Ayala.
Vita Ayala, yes.
Yeah.
Where are they?
DC, because they were doing Static Shock.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So DC snapped up all of those individuals, and so I don't even know who they would seek out for that. But I'm of the mind where I think that if you can't get a Leah Williams, or you can't get they need to be seeking out top tier creators, in my mind. So shell out some money, pay individuals what they're worth, and let's get some great comics.
Yeah. Imagine seeing Kelly Sue come back to comics, in a big way for this.
Or even I would love to see Gail Simone do some stuff here.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Let her loose.
That's sort of what I was just trying to ruminate on is who are even the big creators at Marvel? I mean, you've got Al, you've got Jonathan Hickman.
You got a lot of people that are on their way there, like a Jed McKay, Philip Kennedy Johnson, but yeah, there's a lot of, I'm going to bring a wrestling term into play here. There's a lot of good workers, but there's not many stars.
Yeah.
And that's because they don't market it that way. Marvel used to market, their writers as the architects of the Marvel universe. I think they were much better at marketing their creators previously. I mean, that's the thing Stan did. The bullpen was a thing. And I think they've lost that. Sure, they have the Stormbreakers for artists and all that. But in terms of their writers, I don't think they're really good at marketing it because they would just constantly that would make their writers big and the writers would leave. They would go to TV or they would go to Image and do their own thing. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe they got burned on that and that's why they're not doing that.
Well, not even just not promoting, they're not paying.
Sure.
They lost Rom V. Rom V is DC exclusive now, as far as the big two's concerned. Philip Kennedy Johnson, yes, he's working on Hulk, but he's also planted his roots at DC as far as Superman goes. He's the guy that they're trusting to do Action Comics. That's a major deal. So it doesn't really feel like Marvel has the greatest stable of creators at their disposal right now, unless they're willing to drop some bread. And so that's what I think they have to do on that front. But you guys wanted to talk about characters, so let's shift gears and talk about characters. We haven't really seen any X-Men. We've seen X characters, mutants, but there hasn't been much in the way of a mutant presence.
I don't think they tackle Ultimate Mutants for a while. It is so convoluted.
I don't know, because we've got in Invasion, it was Magic, Colossus,
Sunfire
there, yeah.
Mega Red's there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Silver Samurai too.
So yeah, I mean, there is a mutant presence.
Yeah. I think honestly, I feel like that's one of the things you probably should have tackled in Ultimate Invasion when you're reestablishing what this Ultimate Universe is. I think you maybe even in a throwaway line should have mentioned mutants and where they are because Ultimate Universe mutants are complicated. It's not as cut and dry.
Relaunch Krakoa. again.
Shit, I mean, who knows?
And if Magic and Colossus and Omega Red and Sunfire, if they're like the representatives of mutant kind, which is not the vibe that I got. I got the vibe that they're the representation of their nation.
Yeah, like Japan and Russia.
Yeah. Like, but they're the people that Hickman chose, and they're the people that are being chosen by the nations. These are the only mutants we really saw. So, like, are they going to have some kind of sway or influence over mutant kind? I could see that being an interesting story, but those are weird characters for a role like that.
I could also see it just being that they're just characters, and like mutants is just a way of getting superpowers, and there's no X-Men. I think, C.W. Gordon says if a reset is coming to main X-Men, it might be too messy tackling Ultimate X-Men now. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, and because Ultimate X-Men itself was really messy.
Yeah.
If that's what they're going to do, then I think this is already a bust.
Yeah.
Because there are so many mutants. And I think that they get lost in the shuffle extremely easily. Most mutants cannot carry a solo book. So when will we see them? That's why there has to be a rallying book, and that's why there has to be an X-Men. And if there isn't, then we're going to be reading a lot of Wolverine comics. That's just the reality of the market. You cannot do it any other way.
I also wonder, though, in this world, it's so up in the air after Invasion of like, what are the forces?
Right.
We know we have Captain America and Iron Lad.
Oh God,
I kind of like that.
What grown man calls himself Lad? The fucking Skittles, berries, and cream guy.
He was only 16.
Brian Hitch.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Forgot. Just Brian Hitch can draw teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this also sort of makes me wonder about Spider-Man too. We saw in the first issue, like the last page or something, is the Maker taking away the spider. So what's that going to look like?
He took it away from Peter, so we know Peter probably isn't the Spider-Man, and Miles said no. So that's why I think there is a secret third that we're getting in this.
Well, the Miles 616 Ultimate Universe Miles said no, but that doesn't mean that there's not a Miles of this world.
What number universe is this, by the way?
It's explicit. It's
1610.
Yeah,
all right,
something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's always possible that it's not Peter or Miles. That seems like a big miss. Not because you can't have other characters that are spider people, but I don't know. I thought the Ultimate Universe was about seeing the characters that we know in different ways, not about, introducing us to new spider people right out the gate.
And as you mentioned that's kind of what I want. Like, I want to see Ultimate Black Panther, like much more of a higher like people recognize Black Panther a lot more now, and I don't think there was ever an Ultimate Black Panther comic. Sure, I think he existed in like Ultimate Fantastic Four and all that stuff, but it was a side character. Yeah. So maybe something like that could be cool. I would like an Ultimate Daredevil, like something like that tackled a little harder. I think this might be an opportunity to play with characters that maybe didn't get to shine during the previous Ultimates run.
No, of course, but that's not what I was talking about. That I was talking about new characters, not seeing characters used.
Well, I want Ultimate Black Panther to not be T'Challa as well, just like the MCU.
You're just trying to trigger Chillmonger.
Yeah, so I saw Chillmonger in the chat.
And it will work.
Yeah.
So watch it. I think the deck shuffling that we have seen so far, as minimal as it is, does create an interesting space insofar as it's unfamiliar, right? We have a very young Tony Stark meeting Captain America, who looks like Ultimate Captain America, but we don't know this Captain America at all. We don't actually know anything about him. And that was the interesting promise of the first cover that they showed that had Cap, Thor, and Iron Man on it, but we don't know anything about them other than their appearance. And then the characters in silhouette, who we couldn't necessarily identify. I remember we felt like one looked like Black Panther, possibly, but we weren't sure. And I'm interested in that. What is Thor like? What is Cap like? What's their dynamic going to be like? That's compelling to me.
Yeah, one of them's definitely a spider character too. I'm looking at the cover now. And if they're blanking it out, interesting to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wrench here, not to harp on it again too much, is this maker business, the city, this maker empire. That's such a different swing from what the Ultimate Universe was initially. So to call this Ultimate as a reference to that, but make it this, is very different, and interesting feels like not the word I want to use, but interesting.
Go ahead. I was gonna say the one thing, talking about characters and creators on it, and how this is really only has Hickman's fingers in it when it comes to the main story. It worries me because we've already done the Hickman makes this giant world, and then other people have to play in it, and people can't write like Hickman. Hickman is a very singular voice. I'm worried that this is repeating that potentially going forward.
Well, honestly, it ain't like what Hickman did here lit anybody on fire. Truthfully,
it's not,
like
Hoxbox.
This didn't, like, when you read Hoxbox or if you reflect on it and then you look at this, it's like, whoa, the DNA is borderline not even there. Not to say that the writing is poor. I'm talking about like the world building aspect and getting us to care while also introducing these themes. Like, I'm interested, but I don't know if I care.
Yeah, that's a lot of what you said, Sean. Gives me, especially on this end of Ultimate Invasion, really sort of confirms for me that this was done by someone else and had to be picked up by Hickman. So the Donny Cates thing actually makes quite a bit of sense. If it was a Donny, this whole thing was cooked up by Cates and then he had his accident or whatever, and Hickman had to pick it up.
Right. That the bones of this were already laid out.
Yeah.
It's believable to me, and it's what I've been saying. It's believable to me. Are you guys excited for the eventual Ultimate Universe #1 and Ultimate Spider-Man #1 now that we're on the other side of Invasion? Like, how did Invasion impact your excitement?
No.
Made me less, that's for sure. I think knowing that it's Caselli, that helps.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's not Hitch helps. No offense to Hitch, but so that has potential. I mean, going back to early Comics Pal stuff could be good, but I'm not excited. Like, we're going to talk about it.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, look, I sort of figured out from issue 2 that this was something that was not going to be essential. Because the first issue I thought was hot. I thought it was great. It did what it needed to do. And then the second issue was just like a whole bunch of whatever. And I was like, okay, doesn't matter. So I didn't expect this Ultimate Invasion #4 to really do much different than what it had been doing. So I put my focus on the future. And so, yeah, I am excited for these 2 books. I think Spider-Man, Hickman, I think that's great. I think that's a cool combination. And Hickman did great stuff with Spider-Man in FF. So I know he can tell stories with that character. And then Ultimate Universe #1, we don't know what the hell that book's going to be. My assumption is that it is going to be the book that you read to read about the goings on in the overall Ultimate Universe. Because I've said from the beginning, this will be a small line. So one book to tell you the overall story, one Avengers book, one Spider-Man book, one X-Men book, a Fantastic Four book, a Wolverine book, or maybe like an Iron Man book or Black Panther. I cannot see the line getting longer than about 8 to 10 titles.
I can't see it getting longer than 3.
Well, we already know 2 of them.
I know. That's why I think it's going to be one more, and that's it for now.
Well, maybe for now. I'm talking about like
sure. The eventual expansion. Do you want me to read the solicitation for Ultimate Universe #1? See how you feel?
Yeah.
The spoils of victory. After the world's shattering conclusion of Ultimate Invasion, a new team of heroes bands together to save the future.
So is that the Ultimate book then?
That's got to be a jump forward. Book, yeah. There's a time skip there.
I mean, they got it if Captain America is an established hero at that point.
Right. How do you get to that place?
Yeah. So
I guess and then we do the the Captain America is your audience stand-in and everything gets explained.
Yeah, that could work. Or maybe the Spider-Man character. There are ways that they could make that work. I guess that's not as compelling, but it'll come either way.
November 1st, so not far.
You're right about that.
Let's hit some listener comments. You guys have had some stuff to say about this subject, and I want to hear how you guys are sounding off. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Dan Trudeau, the MCU is visually inspired by the Ultimate Universe, not story-wise. Yeah, I think that's a common misconception. Anyone who's read the Ultimate Universe can definitely tell you that there's not a lot of inspiration. Other than the visuals.
Imagine if Chris Evans played Ultimate Cap.
That'd be cool. I want to see that.
Marowak Ascuro says, I did think that they were going to reboot the Maker's Earth to create the new universe. I think that's kind of what we all thought too.
Yeah. Exactly. Somehow that didn't happen.
Marco, I wish Marco knew what the hell he was talking about.
Oh,
get Jeff Johns on the horn. He needs to save a universe. Get out of here.
Read that. Oh my god. Please.
I think the only listener comments you can that we ever react negatively to are the ones of people on the show. Marco, you could join the call. Like
he said, I'm gonna be late to the chat.
Yeah.
Dan says, I guess I'd rather them do something interesting in their main line than try to create a second line. And I think that's kind of where I'm at too with the Ultimate stuff. Yeah. Is the main line of Marvel Comics feels very stale. It feels like it's safe, not risky. The same circumstances presented themselves over 20 years ago when the Ultimate Universe was born. There was a need to spice things up, but this does not feel like that. The Ultimate Universe felt bombastic, exciting right out the gate. You didn't know anything, but you didn't know anything because there was nothing to know. It was just like all new and like here for you. This is setting up stuff. This is table setting. This is, there was no table setting to the Ultimates. It was just like, here's their story. This is how they got together. This is what they're about. This is who they are. This is the mission.
Yeah.
This is not the way that you introduce new readers or whatever. Like, this isn't daring. It might be cool, but it's not daring.
Is it cool?
It might be. I don't even know if it is.
I didn't particularly find any of it that cool.
It didn't feel radical.
I don't think Brian Hitch can do cool. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I think he could have.
He used to be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not to say he can't. But this wasn't it. Ultimates was cool.
this was not the vehicle for him to be able to express how he expresses cool art in 2023. And to be honest with you, I don't even think that this would have looked tremendous in 2001. And maybe that's a hot take, but the reason why is because I don't actually believe that the script that and you know what was needed to be shown, I don't think it plays to Hitch's strengths at all. I really don't.
Hitch does not do a whole issue of characters talking new political structure in the world in some neoclassical hotel room.
I don't know, man. He did a whole scene about that fan casted the Avengers movie where they're all sitting around and talking heads about it. So I just think it's this wasn't there.
Well, like for me, in my mind, when I think about Hitch, these pages that have like hundreds of copy superheroes and stuff, like
Yeah.
I just don't think that's his bag.
Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when we know Hitch well. Why would you pick? Why would you write this for Hitch? You know, like why would that be? That's not Hitch.
Yeah, it's like giving JR a giant splash page with a whole bunch of characters to draw. Like, not to his strengths.
Right. Or like asking like Rob Liefeld or whoever to draw feet. Like if they're not good at it, they shouldn't probably, you know, hide the weaknesses. There's nothing wrong with that.
You said it up.
I think Brian Hitch is super talented. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Let the record show.
Yeah, this time. John's is too busy crafting the new Watchmen universe. Okay, I highly doubt that.
Is he working on Watchmen or Doomsday Clock too?
No. John
Okay.
at the current moment, to my knowledge, is working on the Golden Age stuff and private outside Big Two projects.
Yeah. Which we've seen.
Yes, we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're gonna find out in November. We're gonna find out a lot more at New York Comic Con. We're gonna have more details at New York Comic Con. So we'll be there. We'll be able to tell you guys our experience there and what we learned and whatnot. But I think Marvel might have actually done more harm than good with Ultimate Invasion.
I would really be interested to hear from people who like it genuinely.
I'd be interested to see them.
Yeah.
I agree, Sean. I think my excitement for Ultimate Invasion 1 was much higher than my excitement for Ultimate Universe 1 is because of Ultimate Invasion.
Wow. Dan makes a really good point. Ultimates brought Bendis, Millar, Rucka, etc. to Marvel. Does anyone think this can do something like that? It hasn't so far.
I don't think it can, because I just don't think comics are in that place. I don't think Big Two comics are in that place anymore. Like, it's just very different. No one would be allowed to do the kinds of things that Miller was doing in the Ultimates book. It's just not going to happen. The way he was writing those characters and, you know, the themes and things that he was touching on, I just don't think that Marvel's in that place anymore.
You don't think Marvel will write an incestuous relationship in comics anymore?
They don't have anything to I'm sorry. They have too much to lose and not enough to gain.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, we thank you guys for choosing us every single week as your comics podcast. We've got two of them. This one, Pals Pulls, which we appreciate you guys tuning into, which you can do so every single Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Saturdays at 10:15 a.m. EST for the main show, where I'm not even sure what we're going to talk about this week, but it should be a lot of fun. A strike just ended, so I'm sure that'll come up. And we're always having a great time. So you guys know the drill. Come hang out. It'll be fun. Patreon.com/thecomicspals is the best way to support your boys. If you like this podcast, if you enjoy what we do and you want more of that and you want us to be able to continue to do this and do it at an even higher level, that is the best way to support. Super chats, of course, are always open as well on these live streams, as we saw our esteemed colleague Marco drop one earlier.
Who has
Always
the most
appreciated.
despicable YouTube icon ever. He looks like a degenerate in it. So I mean that lovingly, Marco, as well, because
Wow. Join our Discord server. Always a lot of fun over there. If you want to influence this show, you can do that by heading to youtube.com/thecomicspals, hitting the community tab, and voting in the listener pick poll, which is up every Friday, closes on Wednesdays. Get your votes in. We'll review the winner as we do every single week right here on Pals Pulls. For Kale and Tyler, I'm Sean saying thank you. We love you.